Hello, and welcome to Rotlaus Gaming. I am going to be going over an intermediate to advanced turret system. I know I've said I was going to do this weeks and weeks ago, just so much has come up. And I've also tried to record this 3 times now, but my freaking screen recording software keeps cutting me off short, so let's hope that I have this worked out. So let me just give you a preview of what it is we're doing. So if you did the previous tutorial of the turret, we were using a sphere collision to detect when objects were within range. We are now going to convert that over to a trace system, which is less CPU intensive and just more practical for use and scalability purposes. You want things to run as smoothly as possible. If you have a bunch of turrets with all running that collision, that sphere collision, you'll bog down much faster than if you're using things with trace. It just takes a little bit more work to set up things with trace. But I'm going to introduce you to that. I'm going to introduce you to timers. We're going to be using some more custom events. And a few other things. We're going to also be getting into tags. Because that's what I'm using here. So if I go into the collision, you'll notice it will find an object that has a tag that is targetable. And if it can actually get a successful hit on me, which you'll notice here, it changes colors, it hits the wall and turns to this pink color. That means that it knows it can't shoot me because I'm hidden. We're going to set that up. So you'll see it'll actually stop shooting at the zombie as well behind a wall so it doesn't expend ammo. It'll also shift targets when it knows it can't fire on me. So it'll go back to shooting at the zombie. Right, and now it'll keep me as a target until a new zombie comes. It's like, oh, something else came into my trace. Let me target that. Right, and now it's targeting me again. We also set it up so that it cannot. Oh, jeez. No, it's my fan screwing me. If you hear that, okay. Okay. We set it up so that you can get. Whoa, it's broken. That's a first. That's really weird. That's never happened, so I don't know what that bug is. If anybody gets that bug after doing this tutorial, let me know. Figure out what might be causing that. Anyway, we set it up so that when you get close enough, it actually can't bend through itself. It can't overlap itself to shoot at me, so we'll set up range limits. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get started. We are going to be inside the turret blueprint. I'm going to suggest a lot of the things that we used in the first tutorial are getting recycled, but there's also a ton of it that is not getting recycled. So you might just want to build this in place as I go through it, and then scrap the old one or push it up to the side or the top, below, whatever you want to do with it, and probably just make a new one from scratch here. So we're going to start off from up here, event begin play. We're going to pull off, and you're going to get set timer by function name. Inside of this, you're going to set the timer to 0.2 seconds. You can turn this into a variable if you want to change this, but basically we're setting an event instead of using a tick. So if we did event tick, for those of you that do not know, oops, I'm using it over here. Oh, yeah, whatever, we'll leave it that way. For those who don't know, the tick is called on every frame, meaning that every frame it's going to look at what comes after it, and it's going to change those values and execute whatever's on this path on every frame. This can get very CPU intensive depending on what you're doing and how many things are using it. So you typically don't use this. In very specific situations, you might, like this situation. We'll use it here, but you could probably change this out with an event. I'll show you how to use them. You can challenge yourself and do it yourself. So we do that. You're going to have to make a custom event. So right click and just do custom event, add custom event. I named mine scan for target timer. Now, whatever you name it, you need to put it into this function name exactly the way that you typed it in here. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And we want this to be looping, meaning that every 0.2 seconds, we want this to do it again and again and again. Otherwise, it's just going to call it once, and that'll be it. All right, now off your custom event. we are going to do a sphere trace for objects. So you're just going to pull off of here and do sphere trace for object. And your start is going to be, um, I literally wanted the sphere to be at the center of the object and then just grow the sphere out from there, right? That makes sense. That would give a pretty good range for your target all around in a 360, or for your turret in 360 degrees. Um, but for whatever reason, if I start and end the sphere trace at the same location, it returns an error and I cannot actually just make one circle. So the start and the end have to be different, apparently. I don't know if this is an oversight or a bug. I just went from barrel head and self. Or so barrel head, you could do either one, but barrel head for start. Self, get actor location. Oh, that's the difference. You need to get world location for the barrel head because it is a component, and get the actor location for self because it is an actor that is inside of the game world. For radius, you're going to pull off and make a float variable. Call this trace max distance. So this is how far we want the radius to go, or how far the sight distance of our turret is going to be. We want this into a variable. We don't want to hard code it in because we will be using this variable sometime down the line. Object types, you're going to pull off and you're going to do make array, which will give you this. And the only type of object that we are looking for with this trace is a pawn, meaning that we want player characters or entities, things that we could potentially possess, or in my case, it's the zombies are pawns and the player character is a pawn. So basically anything that is a biped that the turret can detect. You're going to pull off of your out hit, break hit result, which will, so when you pull off of this, break hit result, this is what you want. This is basically just saying for all the things in the game world that I can possibly trace for, what is it we specifically are looking for? Not just pawns, but specifically, we want to look for an actor itself. So is it an actor that comes into our trace? That's what we're looking for. From here, you're going to want this is valid. Now, with is valid, you get two options. You get one with the green F, which returns a Boolean, or you get the question mark, which is a macro, this macro here. They do pretty much the exact same thing, except one requires you to do one extra step because it's returning a Boolean value. Meaning, hit actor, is it a valid actor, meaning that it's not pending death, or it actually, it has a value that is anything other than null, meaning that there's something inside of this variable or this actor. So it is valid. This is just returning a Boolean, so you would just then hook this up to a branch, which is essentially these same things as is valid, meaning true, is not valid, false. They just went and made this a macro for you to make this much easier, so you don't have to do two nodes. We're going to use is valid. If it is valid, we're going to a branch, and the condition is actor has tag. So you're going to pull off of hit actor. Like this would just go right into here. Actor has tag. And go ahead and put targetable the way that I have it. And we're going to go and set that up right now. And then plug this right into your branch. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go here. And we're going to do, I think I have it as player. That's just player and MVP. What about zombie? Can I do zombie? Oops. Zombie spawner. You're basically just going to look for your... Oh man, okay. We'll just go in the blueprints. Nope, it's not in there either. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Oh, so I did this from the twin stick shooter tutorial. Most of this is made from that. I just turned it into a third-person shooter. We're going to look for characters. Here we go. Okay, so I have base hero character is what I have, which is being pulled up here. Let me pull this down. So in the base hero character, don't worry about all this stuff that I have here. We are going to scroll all the way down on the side. Just make sure you're at the base hero character BP, or whatever your character is. On the right side, scroll all the way down, and you'll come to this actor tab. And then at the bottom of the actor tab, you see tags, right? So you're going to go ahead and push the plus sign and add targetable. This is for the friendly is for my bullets, I believe, my projectiles. This was added in the twin sticks shooter tutorial, so ignore that unless you might have something similar to that already set up. But we're gonna make targetable a tag. You're gonna do the same thing for your enemy characters. If you don't want your hero character being shot at, then get rid of this off your hero character, and then the turret won't shoot at him ever. In the enemy character list, you're gonna do the same thing. Scroll all the way down to the actor, add the tag in there, target. Awesome. So then we head back, moving right along. From the branch, we only want to ever do anything if this branch is true. So as long as it is valid and the actor has the tag targetable, then do something. Otherwise, if it doesn't, then ignore it. All right, now from here, you're going to do another is valid, the macro, and you're going to make a new variable called focus target. And now this focus target, so if we go over to variable here, we'll just do new, this will be focused targ, because I already have target as one. Just do focus targ, and we're going to turn this into an actor. So just go actor here, and we want it to be a reference. That's what the light blue means, reference. And now focus targ, we want to get it, and you'd put that right in there, and you'll see why in just a few minutes. So I'll get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. So from there is valid. You pull off from that, and then you're going to make a gate. So this will come up, and then just get yourself a gate, which will look just like that. And then bring up your event tick. So event tick as well, which will bring me here. You're going to plug that into enter. And then close, we haven't gotten to that yet, but so enter will go in the tick. The open is if this already is valid, meaning that our turret already has a target, it'll open. If it does not have a valid target right now, then we're going to set the focus target to that current actor, the hit actor. So you would pull off of here, you would do set focus target, or whatever you called it, and then plug in what hit actor from here into that. So that's saying that if it's not already shooting at something, then set the focus target, the thing you want it to shoot at, to a valid variable. All right, and then we're going to come back to the reset target orientation. That comes later down the line, and then start closed on this game. All right, so basically when this focus target actually has a value, it's going to open this gate. When the gate opens, the tick then actually starts and executes everything from the exit here on out. Now, once this gate closes, this tick no longer does anything over here because it can't get through. All right, that's very important. We only want it to shoot when it actually has something to shoot at, right? So from here, we're gonna do another is valid check because we want to make sure. We're just doing a double check. Focus target, make sure that it didn't recently get killed as it's firing. If it kills an object, if it does actually kill an object while it's firing, then it's not going to continue firing. So that's just to make sure, to double check on that is valid of the focus target. And now we're going to do from there. We only want to do is valid into a line trace for objects. So pull off of is valid. Line trace for objects. And now what this is going to do, this is going to draw a line between, we're going to get barrel head, the world location of barrel head as the start, and the end location of this line is going to be where our focus target is. So from focus target, get actor location, and end our line trace. So no matter where you are within the range, it's going to draw a line to you. Now the object types, just like with the sphere trace, you're going to pull off, you're going to make an array, and we want this line trace to look for the pawns, just like with the sphere trace, but we also want it to look for world static objects, things that it cannot shoot through. So Like if you have destructibles, in the previous video I had destructibles in there, I would not put destructibles in there because I would want the turret to know that it can shoot through the destructible, it'll eventually break it, and it will be able to destroy my cover, right? So I only want it to stop shooting when it's an object that it can't shoot through, like thick walls, like what I have in the test project here. Um, so you could change this for whatever you want based on what you want it to be able to shoot through or not. Um, yes, I'm also doing a debug so that you can see it. You can turn this on or off for your own testing purposes. I am For the duration of the line trace, it is returning the colors. If it hits something, it's returning a pink color. This was so that I could differentiate this from another line trace that I was doing. And then the draw time is 0.5 seconds, so it will disappear after 0.5 seconds. All right, so just like the sphere trace, we're going to do on the out hit, we're going to break hit result. And just like before, we're going to do another is valid check. Get used to using these. These are very, very helpful. Use them all the time. Hit actor, to is valid. We're also going to check for the tag again. So actor has tag, targetable. Go into a branch as long as it's valid. And now this is where the magic happens. All right, so this is where things get a little complicated. Some of this is derived from the old one, so it should look a little familiar from the original. All right, so what we're doing here is the first thing is get distance to. This is a pre-built function, so you could just type in get distance to. It's a transformation function already built for you by the guys at Unreal Engine or Epic. And we want to use this to get the distance between the target and yourself. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your hit actor, and that's going to be your target, right? And then the other actor, just pull off and get self, right? Get reference to self. And that'll give you this. Now, basically what we want to say is, pull off of here, if the return value is greater than or equal to, a float greater than or equal to, and here's where this trace max distance comes into play. You're going to pull in trace max distance, you're going to get it, and you're going to plug that right in. Now we're comparing the distance. If it is between where the turret is and 2000, oh, that's right. I don't know if I told you to set that to 2000. The default that I'm using for this distance is 2000. So go ahead and set that. You're going to have to recompile, and there you go. So 2000, so as long as it is less than or equal to 2000, we're going to go up into the branch. And if that is true, let's do is not true first, because this is shorter. If false, then we're going to set focus target. All right, so you can do that straight from here. Set focus target. All right, that's going to give us that. And then you're going to close firing gate. All right, so pull off. Now this is a custom event, so you won't get this just yet, but what you're going to do is back here at our gate is we're going to make a custom event, add custom event, and call it close firing gate. And you can plug that in right to the close for now. We will come back to the reset turret orientation in a bit. All right, so once you have that custom event made, you want to call that here. So close firing gate. So that's saying like once the distance becomes greater than 2000, which is why we want to use this variable so that the radius of our turret sphere, our trace sphere, is the same as this distance, so that it will always be the same, the line trace and the sphere distance. If that's true, then we're setting our focus target to nothing. This becomes a null. So this would be, if I was to put an is valid here, just to kind of explain how this works, is valid. If I was to check focus target during this state, this would return an is not valid, because it is now set to nothing. If you see current value none, you can see it there. That's a not valid. It has no value, right? So that's why we use that. Also set false here. If the actor has tag targetable, if that's false, just drag that up straight up to that as well. So these are two instances where we're just going to null out our focus target and then just close the firing gate, stop shooting at it for everything. All right, but if it is true, meaning that we are within the range, the line trace is less than 2,000 units true, then we're going to pull off of that and you're going to set world rotation. Now this should look familiar from the first tutorial because this is one of the pieces that we are using from the old one. So set world rotation of the barrel head, right? So the barrel head, the barrel is connected to the barrel head. So when the barrel head rotates, the barrel moves with it. So we always want to just affect the barrel head itself. And then what you're going to do is actually, this is going to return, or here it's going to be a pink rotation or purple-ish set rotation, right? Right, it's going to give you this. You can right-click on the new rotation and split struct pin. And what that's going to do, it's going to give us access to the 3 float values that make up an actor's rotation, which is your roll, pitch, and yaw, right? So X, Y, Z, like your roll, like barrel roll, your pitch, your up and down, and then yaw would be like your side to side. So we want access to those because we want to limit how the barrel head can actually turn. So we need to specifically say what the limits of that are. But the roll can go straight into X because X is our left and right, and we want it to be able to go left and right. And our yaw, we can plug that straight in as well. It's our pitch that we're actually worried about. The pitch is the up and down, right? So we want to say it can only go up so much or down so much. That way the barrel itself doesn't end up, if we didn't put a limit on this, basically what would happen is this would be able to go like this and shoot you through itself while you were standing down here, right? We don't want it to do that. We want to say, like, if you get close enough, well, you could actually stand right here under the barrel and it can actually get to you, right? And the same thing for up is it doesn't make any sense really if the whole barrel can just do this. I mean, sure, if it's an anti-air gun, you probably want it to be able to do that. But for ground turret sake, or mobile turret, deployable turrets, you're probably not going to have AA type capabilities with it, so you don't really need this. You're not going to be shooting at helicopters. If you want to, go for it. I wanted to set mine up like that, so basically what you're going to do then is, oh, this is hard to do backwards. All right, so you can leave that there, broken. We'll get into that. Let's move back a little bit and build up towards that rotation. So we're going to get the barrel head, right? Just go underneath everything that you have and we'll make our way over there. Barrel head, we're going to get the world rotation. Find the look at rotation. You should already have this. The focus target is now going to be the new thing. Your focus target is, you're going to get the actor location of that, and that's going to be your look at rotation, right? So this is all stuff that was from the previous tutorial. From there, we're going to R-interp, right? This should already be in there as well, so you should have this set up. Our delta time is get world delta seconds, and then your interp speed is turret rotation speed, which you should already have set up as a variable from the first one. So basically, yeah, the only thing that we're adding here is the clamp angle. So from the Y, the pitch, the up and down that we went over, you just want to get a clamp angle, which is a pre-built function. Minimum angle degrees, you can futz with this, whatever, do whatever you want with this. I found that -40 for the minimum degree angle and 50 for the maximum, the up angle, was pretty good for what I wanted to do. So that should work for you. Now, there is one more thing that I did here, which is if the world rotation is equal to the find look at rotation. So basically, how this was working is this goes into there. And now what this float variable is a tolerance level, an error tolerance, meaning how much to the degree or to the unit do you need these two rotations to be aligned. And what this is doing is saying that as long as the turret rotation, the barrel head rotation rather, the barrel head rotation is very, very close to the target the look at rotation, then you can fire or actually shoot at it. What actually happens is this keeps it so that the turret only fires when it's close to actually pointing at the player. How it was working before in the previous video was as soon as you came into the collision, the turret would start to fire in whatever direction it was facing, and then it would, make its way to your direction, meaning that it would fire bullets off into the distance in some random direction, which you probably don't want a turret to do in your game. You want to wait till it acquires its target and then start to fire. So that's what this is doing here. It's getting a tolerance level. I found that 3.5 is a really good tolerance level. As long as it is within 3.5 units of that rotation, then plug that into a branch. And as long as that's true, we're going to spawn the projectile after we do another valid check of the hit target. Right, so we want to make sure that basically what this is, why we're doing another valid check here of the hit target, is because while the turret is rotating, the focus target could die. I could shoot it, right? So before it even really gets to shoot, I could invalidate that target or make it null, which then could cause some weird sporadic errors that you'll get, or some sporadic behavior of the turret. So you want to do another check. It gets tedious, I know, but at the same time, you'll realize that this needs to be done. So you're going to just do another is valid check, and then as long as it is still valid, then you're going to fire. If it is no longer valid, meaning that I killed it, it walked off a cliff, another zombie attacked it, I hit it with a car, I don't know, whatever happens to that zombie. If it is no longer valid, then we're going to, again, set it to a null value, and the cycle repeats per tick, right? So that will be it. And what you'll get, oh, wait, no, that's not it. Sorry. So we will go back to this reset turret orientation. I turned this into a function, but I really could have just put it out here. So if you want to make it into a function like I did, just plus function here on the side, reset turret orientation. And then on the inside, all I'm doing is, dog, go away. Sorry, my dog's bothering me. Reset orientation, we're going to set world rotation to the barrel head, get the current world rotation of it, and then return. So you would just pull off of this and get your return, add return node. And that's what this is. Basically what's happening here is I call this, because once we close the firing gate, I don't want the barrel head to continue turning and looking at things. When it doesn't have an active target, it should just stay still. And so it's getting whatever its last rotation was when it had a target, and it keeps that rotation. So it's just going to continue, it's just going to idle there. So I will show you how that ends up working. We'll play a selected viewport. I'm getting really bad frame rate. Oh, hold on. Let me, we'll go to this and then play it. Select. There we go. Okay. So it looks up there, kills that target. It's shooting at me. It's shooting at me. It stops. See, now it stays pointing in that direction until it finds another target and acquires it. Right? So as long as I'm ahead of it, it can't hit me. You can change this with the turret speed. I wanted to make it so that if I am running, the turret can't hit me, but you can obviously change that setting. Looks at me, I stand behind the wall. It knows I'm behind the wall. Oh, and another zombie target. It knows I'm behind the wall. it stops firing at me, it acquires another target. Very cool. So this is a much better, more customizable turret. You can have a lot more fun with this too. I hope you have it working. If not, if you have any issues aside from reapproach the video, definitely ask me questions. Post like the channel, like the video. I will try and get back to any questions or concerns you have with this, as well as make suggestions. If you didn't like this format, maybe the way that I presented it, let me know. I know I did this to make it a little bit faster because this would have taken over an hour to do this myself and then explain it piece by piece. So I figured if you don't like this format, let me know. I can go back to the other one. If I should break it up maybe into smaller videos, is this too long? Is there anything specific that you want me to do? Anything that you need to learn how to do or you're having trouble with that I should make a video about? Maybe other people have that same question. Let me know. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoy Rotlouse Gaming.